Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Spiritism at Noon. We are studying this book, Empty Lives, by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis, received by the medium Divaldo Franco. We can find it Amazon online. And as we know, this book, each chapter of this book contains a different topic. And so whether you're joining it now, just today, or going to join us any other time, there is no problem in the continuation of the subjects. But having said that, the chapter today is really big. And big in the sense, yes, it's big. And it's a big subject as well, because we are going to be talking about ingratitude, but in ways that maybe we haven't seen before, or we haven't thought so much about. So beforehand, I'm going to tell you that this one we are going to split in two. And I'm going to start sharing with you my screen. Hello, Marlene, so good to see you.
My pleasure. Good to see you as well.
Okay. So, as always, we read a little bit from the chapter, and then we go on talking, discussing about it, bringing, examples, questions, everything. Let us remember that this book that Joanna de Angelis, the Spirit, called Empty Lives, addresses a lot of the subjects or related to the emptiness that sometimes many of us feel, and the void, so to say, that regardless whether everything is doing great in your life, you still feel that there is something missing, or you still feel that there is more to it. And so she pinpoints some aspects that may be one of the things in our lives that are contributing for us to still feel this void. And as always, not only she presents the subject, but she tries to address it in a way that will help us as well to identify the subject, the thing in ourselves, and will come with comments that may guide us in our search, in our understanding of ourselves, and in this way be able to deal with whatever it is that is still gets in the way of us feeling more harmony. So in this chapter, she talks about ingratitude. And we know that there are many, many ways that we can direct this topic and this conversation that we are going to be having today. But she starts by saying, the anthropological process of evolution is very slow, and psychosociological changes, adaptations, and achievements occur over time. So in other times, we had the chance to say that we don't go that fast, and change normally do not happen that fast. But she mentions here that at first it involves entirely arithmetic evolution, step by step, and after certain levels have been reached, there is geometric development. So just for us to remember, what we learned at school, the arithmetic progression is 1, 2, 3, 4, one by one. The geometric goes, in doubling themselves. So the more we evolve, And this is what she's saying here. When the elevated stage of intelligent discernment, understanding, ethics, and the moral sense of existence is reached, achievements occur in quantum leaps that promote plenitude. So at the beginning, it is slow, but it's very much like we can feel in our lives today, you know, in the early years, just for us to, you know, to learn how to walk, to read and write. And after we achieve that, then, you know, now I can read, I can write, I can choose from different subjects. I can learn. Our progression goes in a geometric way, in a kind of geometric possibilities. But there is something that gets in the way when we reach this stage of, you know, like she says, intelligent discernment, understanding, ethics. Nevertheless, the ego's role in the process of liberation from the passions requires constant attention and perseverance so as not to allow the bad inclinations from previous stages to overlap the illuminating experiences. Usually, candidates for spiritual elevation struggle with imperfections that have become engraved as habits, stumbling and backsliding over and over without continuous progress, which of course would be the ideal. In the other words, with each incarnation, with each incarnation, it is necessary to free oneself from unfortunate atavisms and unwholesome behaviors that impose themselves as form of gratification. So what is she talking about here? If it is, on one hand, we are capable of evolving in terms of intellectual achievements and all the progress that we can reach. On the moral aspects, is more difficult. And many times, in spite of having reached a level of progress like we have today, like we say, it doesn't require much for people all of a sudden start practicing savagery, looting stores, or, you know, going back to their old behavior. Basically, with its root in selfishness. So, yes, we are growing, intellectually speaking, but then we have to pay attention not to remain as individuals in ourselves in a situation where we still give rise to our so many imperfections, passions that we should have been able at this point to control. It can be jealousy, it can be greed, it can be anger, you know, it can be so many things that somehow have been prevailing in our personality throughout existences. And of course, coming from the premise that this is not the first existence that we have, that reincarnation is a fact, it's only normal that me as an immortal spirit will bring what I am, what I learn, and it still bring my good things and my bad things as well. Now, let's stop at this moment and ask for, you know, see if you have any comment or question. Anything? Okay, so we are going to continue then. There are many impositions from the past that remains as forms of controlling conduct. This is it's big, right? Like I was saying. And sometimes we do not even pay attention. And we don't have to go, try to think about incarnations, other incarnations. Let's think about this incarnation. For those, for instance, who struggle with let's say taking better care of their health, quit drinking, smoking, or eating too much, or exercising. We all know how easy it is for us to still feel the urge that we had before. And when we are talking about our tendencies, us, as a complete intelligent being, we have those things as well. It can come from our vanity. Maybe we came from a time that we were so powerful that people to talk to us had to bow before us. And now they barely smile at us, and it gives something, a response here, right within ourselves that we do not know from where it's coming. I would like people to respect me more, you see, and this is an indication. Why? Do you respect them? What kind of respect are you expecting? That they are going to bow before you, kiss your ring again, things like that. So it's just a silly example, but just to say that sometimes without realizing that, let's say we were a monarch in the past, and now I want everyone to look at me as I am God on earth, or God is on earth, right? And it brings uncomfortable, lead us to uncomfortable situations, and it's very subtle. But it can only always be in the way that, let's say, when you walk a room, nobody's going to pay attention to you, and then it brings about negative emotions. And the only way for us to get rid of them is to acknowledge them, and to question ourselves. Why do I feel like this every time I get into, this kind of situation? Any comment or question? No. Yes, Sonia?
Say it's about selfish because it's just a word, but the meaning, there are so many arms about selfish. I'm not able to forgive. I'm intolerant. I'm pride. I have a pride. It's so many more than I mentioned here. Then just to make our mind to reflect about the meaning when Joanna de Angelis mentioned about selfish. It's not just a word, but all our imperfections come from our selfish.
Absolutely, because we are always putting our best interest first, which would not be wrong, because we have to take good care of ourselves. But this doesn't mean that we are going to follow Machiavelli's advice, like, it doesn't matter the means for me to achieve that, because I want that, it's good for me, right? So it is not becoming oblivious to my rights go up to the point where I'm not interfering with the rights of others, with the well-being of others as well. And so far, we haven't been necessarily doing that. Of course, we have to think about ourselves. I have to think about myself as a whole in terms of, my relationships, professional life, my relationship with the on high, with its spiritual values. And if I don't do that, who is going to be doing that for me? No one, right? Directly as I can do it, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be worried about others as well, that I'm going to be stepping on their lives, and just because I think it's better for me. And so this is where we have to be very careful in terms of saying selfishness, because I would say, when you say selfishness, it means a negative aspect of our personality. When I say thinking about myself, taking good care about myself, worrying about my well-being, is not selfishness. Okay, so it's very important for us to make this distinction. All right.
It's more self-esteem.
Yes, it's more like a self-esteem, a self-preservation in certain situations. It is really you doing things that you need to do to survive. But then again, depending what you are using as a rule of conduct to do that, you're no longer being ethical, right? You're getting into trouble yourself, right? So this is where she really actually starts talking about selfishness. Among the most damaging moral imperfections that insist on staying, selfishness is the commander-in-chief, due to the tormenting belief that one deserves every deference and consideration. A perverse inheritance from the egocentric phase, when one believed one was the reason why the sun shone. Selfishness is present in most decisions and attempts involving intellectual and moral growth. Therefore, there must be a clear and firm decision to work mentally and emotionally to defeat selfishness, expanding the blessed horizons of fraternity by realizing how much coexistence in a group is necessary and how happy everyone is who knows how to live and share joy with the neighbor. So this is what we were talking before, right? We come from eras that you had to fend for yourselves. Okay, there was no just laws or fair laws, right? And depending on which side you were, maybe you lived in a privileged life, but many others, and we know that the majority did not. And this is what we bring, this inheritance that we bring in us that reflects the experiences that we had, and the ones that most deeply are engraved in ourselves. And since we still attached so much importance to fame, to power, to wealth, and so many other things, it's only natural that we will try to retain more in our inner selves what we lived during those times. And this is when, because I have this view of myself, I expect, that I am the reason why the sun shone. right today. And in this way, when we think like that, how can we really be giving ourselves to fraternity, to respect others, to respect their point of views, to respect their emotions, to respect their choices, to respect, from where they came from, eliminate any kind of, prejudice. So this is what is very important for us to do. And in this sense is where she says that the more we defeat selfishness in ourselves, and listen well, is one thing that we are always constantly repeating. This is a working process. It's not that I'm going to take a pill today, selflessness, and tomorrow I'm going to be a brand new person, with this virtue, and no more selfishness is going, or go to undergo a surgery and say, oh, please remove the selfish aspect of my mind. No, it's something that we have to work hard, and there is no way of doing that unless we acknowledge the extent of what is there. Yes, Soraya, you want to say something?
Yes, I was going to say that if we do not understand who we are and don't know how we're reacting to others, we don't see from their eyes, then the person they have to know who they are in order to fix everything that's going on, the selfishness. So just like I believe it's Augustine who says, know thyself. If you do not know who you are, and you continue thinking that the world is surrounded around you and you're the only one, and everything else that Joanna de Angelis is explaining here, then how in the world can the person then, change their ways? Unless you wait for, I guess, things to happen to you that will hurt you, or someone will come to you and tell you. I mean, it's very hard for the person who doesn't understand that they're selfish. How do you, tell a person, you don't understand this, you don't understand that. So I think knowing yourself and doing to others all what we've learned of being kind to others and even to yourself. So Joanna de Angelis brings a beautiful understanding here about moral growth and intellectual growth, which is so important for us to move on in life and do the best that we can. So
and this is one of the reasons why you were absolutely right, Soraya. We were saying, let's try to, express the proper meaning of the word selfishness, and not mix it up with us having to, to think about ourselves, to think about our developments, the things that we want to achieve. So there is a huge difference in that. Because people can just say, how come I'm not going to think about myself? Yes, you have to think about yourself, but selfishness is a different thing. It's another thing. And the know thyself, actually no one knows who wrote this phrase. It's attributed to there is a suspicion, research that it can be attributed to so many ancient Greek philosophers. Socrates was the one that started working with that, and St. Augustine actually in the Spirit book, question 919a, he explains how to apply that in terms of there is only one way of knowing thyself, which is you have to make a daily assessments which is nothing different as well than we heard later on, by Benjamin Franklin when he wrote the 13 Virtues, doing a daily, self-assessment of himself.
Right.
So this is, yeah, it's so important.
Yes. Important. Mhm.
Okay, let's go. Quite often, selfishness is the result of mental or emotional disorders, isolating individuals who consequently feel superior to others.
Mhm.
They avoid becoming part of the crowd and thus stand out from their social group due to an unsound temperament. At this stage, it is common for selfish individuals to assume that they are the creditors of the efforts, the work, the kindness, and the dependence of others, who must orbit around them, yet keep their distance so as not to bother or annoy such always dissatisfied egotists. I got it. It's so much, related to the times that we are living now, the influencers that go to place, want to be followed by millions of followers, and but they have to maintain their place. I mean, you can look, but you cannot touch, you cannot relate. And I think Joanna de Angelis was really on this, so clear when she put this first in terms of this being an emotional imbalance. Because, if I need that much appreciation, it is because I'm insecure. It is because I do not appreciate myself. I do not know my values, and I want them to be reaffirmed by others. So if everyone just worshiping me, it's because then I'm something. But I need that like air, and they don't care if by doing that they are advocating for immoral things, behaviors. If they do not correspond, this is where ingratitude comes. I want you to give me. I'm like a sponge, but I don't give anything back in return. And when you do that, when I am the sponge that absorbs all the, the water, the lightness that exists in others, I think that it's their obligation to do that. So you see, this is where selfishness and ingratitude comes into place. That's why I said before when we were going to start, this is a completely different take on ingratitude, right? And very profound. Any comment, question? Yeah, it a hard one, I know. Knowing themselves and having no interest in change because they feel pleased in the awkward situation, they become friendly in order to win over others. They know how to reach the vulnerable points of generous people, and they become parasites by stealing their trust and affection, which they never return or even consider as valuable. They always believe themselves to be more deserving and better than everyone else. Yes, this is what we were saying. There is self-interest in this kind of relationship. I want numbers, I want followers, I want to be worshipped, I want it to be valued. It's and there are many people, they're good in their nature, And they try to see good, in the nature of others. And it's not that these good people are waiting, to receive something in return, but it will come to a point that they will come to the realization that if they really like this person, they shouldn't be one more feeding their vanity and selfishness. Any comments? Okay, so they quickly despise those who help and esteem them, remaining bereft of emotional values and thus unable to understand how much they harm others with their arrogant approach to life. Likewise, when they realize that they no longer make an impression with their forced raptures and pleasantries, they put on a false pretenses and try to win back those who pull away in order to continue in their habitual sham. Ingratitude is a disease of the spirit, and it must be fought against by all who are its victims. You see, what is at play here? The game they play. First we attract with our charm. We surround those peoples with, you are in a special committee or group of friends, and then when we see that they are eating on our hands, right? We go for more people for different people, and we take them for granted and say, well, those are already my followers on my side, you see. But of course, when not feed properly, they are going to look for a different house. I was just seeing the cat of Michelle, and cat have this kind of a personality. If you don't feed them and your neighbor does, do you know where your cat pretty soon is going to be living? In your neighbor's house, right? So this is the thing that happened here. Some of these people that were, that gave themselves to the enchantment of those kind of selfish people, they will wake up once they are not treated with the minimum respect. And then once they realize that, they go there and start feeding them again, so as not to lose. But they didn't care about them in the first place, otherwise they would not stop feeding them. Now I'm thinking about the cat, okay? So if you love your cat, your little animal, you're going to be feeding them, otherwise they will go away at the first opportunity. So this is where Joanna de Angelis calls, of course, there are so many things at play here, selfishness, deceiving others, but the focus is the ingratitude, because not even the people that have been, devoting themselves to you are treating well, and this is ingratitude. On top of selfishness, on top of vanity, on top of arrogance, on top of everything, there is one thing that is even more, or even as important as, is how you treat your fellow beings. And everyone deserves us to be nice to them. And even more if they are nice to us. Even more if they are the ones that are there when we need guidance, assistance. And this is the growth of the spirit. And this is how we can, live from this empty life that we have chosen for ourselves so far, right? Because now we are urging for something else. This is how we have to do it, is paying attention to those things. How am I being selfish in the sense that we mentioned before? Am I really paying attention and demonstrate gratitude to everything that I've been receiving? Remember our last meeting, we were talking about prayer and mentioning, you know, that prayer is not memorized words, but it's what comes from our heart, and the way we communicate to appreciate life, to appreciate the creation, to appreciate the creator. So every time we have also this relationship with the creator that, you know, the creator has to give me, or how come, you know, God is not seeing things that are happening? How come, you know, all these situations of global warming, pollution, and I am the one doing all this, and I'm being great, even complaining that it's someone else's fault when it's clearly my fault, right? Why God doesn't show up to heal me from, you know, years of abuse of my body? Well, he gave you a perfect machine, or perfecting a machine. And even if it's not that perfect, but I mean, we made it worse. And it's not just due to age decay that is natural, but many of the things we could have prevented, right? We could be in better shape. And it's never too late, because it's not just saying, oh, now it's too late. No, it is not too late for us not to aggravate even more our situations. So this is the kind of ingratitude that Joanna de Angelis is talking about, of, you know, mistreating people that are there to give them your support, their support. Comments, questions?
Sarah, just said,
Say something.
so important. Oh, Sonia, you're going to say something?
No.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go.
Very quick. Yes. Like you said, we if there's someone in our family who is exactly what Joanna de Angelis is expressing here, how do we deal with them? We surely pray and we ask for assistance and help and guidance in helping this person that doesn't seem to understand. So we wait, or we step back, especially if it's family members and loved ones that don't seem to grasp who they are. How do we, you know, yes, we pray. Is there any other ways? Be patient. All the virtues are put there, so we use them. And we wait patiently and hope that they will see. Is that how we try to fix what's going on?
Yes, right. The thing is, there is only one way to effectively teach others, is by example.
Okay.
Words sometimes may be useless.
Yes.
So even when people are mistreating you, you're going to come and say, and treat them well, because it's in your nature, or it should be in your nature. This means if we are dealing with a situation like this one, we will recognize the situation. I'm no longer going to allow myself to be manipulated
Mhm.
but there is no reason why I can be nice. Now there is clarity. Now I know this person was always using me, only using me for their own advantage. And I mean, if it's a family member, there is not much we can do about it. If it's a friend, an acquaintance, you're better off with other friends, right? You can continue treating them well, without allowing yourself to be manipulated. You know their game already. And
Right.
sometimes it takes a few trials. Okay. Sometimes we are going to be seduced by them as well, because those are very seductive people, right? We are going to be seduced by them, and we say, no, like, this time is going to be different, and it's not. And the third time, and the fourth time. So when finally you learn, you will move away. You will wish this person well. You will remember that this, according to Joanna de Angelis, is a mental illness, a spiritual weakness. You see, and you are going to treat them well, but we will look for better company. When it's family,
Yeah.
you just keep on treating them well, not allowing them to manipulate you. And by example, you will make an impact. It may be just, one drop of water after the next on hard stone,
Yes.
right? Until we'll make a hole. But and that's what we can do.
Okay.
Okay, Sonia.
Okay.
In the beginning of this chapter, Joanna de Angelis mentioned about the way we progress, the way we can improve ourselves in progression of rhythmic or geometric. And in this last paragraph, what I can see is when people let it go our selfish or bad joys, there are one improvement of our imperfection too. Because first, we can see the parasites stealing the trust of the others, and then arrogance and superb to believe we are the center of the universe and everybody need to do everything for you. It's one evolution of the problems when you make wrong choices in our life. Mm-hmm. When we prefer to be a selfish person instead to take a not easy way. All these lessons Jesus always try to teach us to improve ourselves and to be a better person.
Yeah, you can see here we have also thinking about what Soraya was talking about, and you, Sonia. We have to think about two things here. One thing, and this is what Joanna de Angelis is talking about, is about the one that is selfish, the one that feels like, they deserve all the attention and respect, and that in many circumstances come from, previous behaviors, from past times, from this time. And this is where she started saying we have advanced a lot in terms of, all the progress, but our inner selves, moral aspects, we are still lingering with negative traits of our personalities. So this is one thing, and how she's showing us that this kind of selfishness may lead to ingratitude, because now thinking that I am the center of the universe, I think that, you being my friend and doing everything that I want you to do for me, it's your obligation. I don't even have to be thankful to you. You know, it's a favor that I'm doing to you to allow you to serve me, you know, in a certain way. This is what goes inside the mind of people like this. And I'm sure we were there. Okay, hopefully we're not anymore, but we were there once. And the second aspect is the ones that allow themselves to be victimized by them. So now I may be bad because I feel that I am the center of the universe and you all have to worship me. But your free will is the one that is going to dictate, you know, or to put in action the fight or flight mode, right? Because it's not that I'm obliging you to be next to me. I can no longer have you as my servant, so to say, but it is the aspect of, just 1 second. And so I'm not responsible for your choice. So in what Zoraida was asking, you know, this case of, you know, how to deal with a family member, you know, if I'm allowing myself to be the victim, I'm doing that. And somehow I have to search in myself, why I'm allowing myself to be in this position. You know, you can go to a friend, to a family member, say, you know what, I love you very much. I'm always going to be here for you, but I'm not going to allow you to abuse me anymore. It's different. So you see, we have two sides of mental imbalance. One that needs to feed and the other one that needs somehow to be the victim and to be the, you know, around to orbit this sun or this unreal sun that we think it is. Why do I want, what do I want in relation to that, right? We all feel so proud when we say, oh, let's say, I met Barack Obama. I'm friends with, so we fill our mouths with pride, and so we have those things, right? That like, you know, now because I met him, or I say that he's my friend, which unfortunately is not true. Right? I have never met him personally. I'm going to feel important. Everyone will say, oh my God, she's important because she met someone, you know, once in her lifetime. So you see, this is also our inner desire of being validated by the supposed light of others. So, but in this chapter, we're not getting there. And in the other side, we are only dealing or talking about, you know, the ones, which is the majority of us, that are still giving ourselves to selfishness behavior. Okay. Yes, Marlene.
I was just thinking while you were talking and looking at the reading, that the person that really struck me as being more like what Joanna de Angelis is talking about is Jimmy Carter. You know, he wasn't a popular president, but he was a very good man. And he didn't, when he left office, he just went right on with his good works. And he's a very humble person. And he still lives in the same house he grew up in, has the same wife. I really think he's someone to admire.
Oh, Marlene, you made my day today. I met Jim Carter.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yes, I met him. I heard a lecture from him exactly because of this, beautiful work that he does to help people, to help the world. And it was amazing hearing him talk and knowing that it's not just the talk, but really that he's doing this work. And so, yes, I agree with you. I could see his humbleness, and he told stories about situations that he had faced during this charitable work. And yeah, so you see, I didn't meet Barack, but I met Jimmy Carter. Okay. Okay. So before we stop, I would like to again invite everyone to register for our 17th United States Spiritist Federation Symposium. As we do every year, we'd go to a different state, and this time is going to be Oregon in Portland, September the third year. Let me see. Oh my God. Not really. It's hard. September the 30th. And we are going to be talking about the spiritual path to mental balance. All of you that can join us there are more than welcome to join. Okay, so we are going to be announcing this every now and then, just for people to know about it. Okay,